conditional award for stay of execution. Federal government to bring back toll gates on federal roads. Minimum wage strike loans as MLC to UC give federal government 1 week ultimatum. Nigeria, South Africa to clash in 2020 Olympics football qualifying. Hello, good morning. Thanks for joining us on MCL News. I am Izzy Nwafo. Now the news in details. The federal government will appeal the order of a UK commercial court awarding $200 million conditional payment for granting stay of execution in a judgment debt against Nigeria over a botched gas contract. The Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, disclosed this on Wednesday in Abuja while briefing newsmen on the outcome of the federal government delegation's trip to London and the September 26th ruling of the UK court. The UK Commercial Court had granted a stay of execution of a $9.6 billion judgment debt made against Nigeria in favor of an Irish company, Process and Industrial Development Limited (PNID). The court, which also granted a government request for leave to appeal the decision of the court, however, ordered Nigeria to pay the sum of $200 million into the court funds office within 60 days of date of the order. It also ordered the government to make the payment in the sum of £250,000 sterling, representing PNID solicitors' advance costs within a period of 14 working days. The minister assured Nigerians that the government is taking all necessary steps to avail itself of all defense customarily afforded to sovereign states under the UK Sovereign Immunity Act to fight and upturn any enforcement of their award. He said federal government has succeeded in changing the false narrative being peddled by PNID, both within and outside Nigeria, by putting across strong evidence that the company is nothing but a fraud. The federal government is set to bring back toll gates on Nigerian roads years after they were pulled down. The Minister of Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, gave the hint while interacting with correspondents at the State House after the weekly Federal Executive Council FEC meeting in Abuja. At the FEC meeting, which was chaired by President Muhammadu Buhari, the minister argued that there is no reason why the nation cannot toll. Fashola stated that no law prohibits tolling in Nigeria today, even though it was a policy of the government to abolish tolls. The Federal Road Safety Corps, FRSC, has commenced a nationwide clampdown on motorcycles and tricycles without number plates. The Corps Public Education Officer BC Kazim stated this in an interview with newsmen on Wednesday in Abuja. Recall that the Corps Marshal Boboye Oyeyemi had said that the Corps will enforce nationwide clampdown on motorcycles and tricycles without number plates and driver's license with effect from October 2nd. Kazim listed the state commands that had begun the enforcement to include Ondo, Kebbi, Kwara, Oyo and Adamawa, as well as the Federal Capital Territory (FCT). He said that in Agongo, Kebbi, 16 offenders were booked and had their motorcycles impounded for number plate violation. The exercise is aimed at strengthening the ongoing campaign against insecurity in the country. The commencement of the enforcement is sequel to reports of pervasive use of motorcycles and tricycles for urban transportation without the riders being properly licensed. The Corps relied on Section 10, Subsection 4H and I of the FRSC Establishment Act 2007, which made possession of Class A driver's license and number plates mandatory for motorcycle and tricycle riders before they can operate on the nation's roads. Former President Goodluck Jonathan has criticized African leaders who are desperate to remain in power beyond their constitutional limits. He wondered why anyone would want to stay in office for 14 years. Speaking at the Constitutional Town Mini Summit holding in Niamey, the Niger Republic, on Wednesday, the ex-president also said that periodic elections are not the only characteristics of democracy. Jonathan, who spent 6 years in office, pointed out that democracy is participatory and should go beyond the legislature. He said that periodic elections alone is not democracy, but democracy is about people. Speaking also, the regional director of the National Democratic Institute, NDI, Dr. Chris Famoyon, said the Constitutional Town Limits Summit comes at a critical time when Africa's democratic progress is facing new challenges and democratic backsliding is becoming more prominent. The summit will provide an opportunity for leaders and activists on the continent to ensure that progress made through the renewal of political leadership through the ballot box is sustained and encouraged. Aba residents have been warned against engaging in Ponzi schemes. Concerned residents of the commercial city gave the advice while speaking with MCL News on the reason behind the increase in the number of Ponzi schemes in the city. The respondents also explained why some people still engage in the fraudulent scheme despite the risk of losing their hard-earned money. Ruto Harms tells us more.
Ponzi scheme is a form of fraud that lures investors and pays profit to earlier investors with funds from more recent investors. Also known as pyramid scheme, the scheme is named after Charles Ponzi, who invented and used the technique in the 1920s. It has been used by different people under different names, such as Ladies Deposit by Sarah Howe in the 1880s. The scheme operates by recruiting new investors whose funds are used to pay the old ones. It crashes when lots of older investors cash out or when it becomes difficult to convince new investors to join the scheme. Some respondents gave reasons for the rising number of various forms of Ponzi schemes and the legality of such schemes. They also explained why some people, especially urban dwellers, still engage in them despite the risks involved.
Honestly, it's because of the poverty rate. The poverty rate in the country is so high, and people want to get rich so quick, and that syndrome pushes them into this Ponzi scheme despite the campaign against such. There's no legal backing to that. There's no legislation on this. Even in terms of lottery, when we talk about lottery, we say yes, there's some legal risk on lottery. The Ponzi, there's no legal. It's just people are liberty.
It's not, they know that it's either you succeed in it or you lose in it. It is all about when you lose you smile, when you lose you cry, and when you succeed you are happy. For them it's a business. It's a kind of business because business generally is a risk. But when we come from the back, when you talk about the socio-economic aspect of
Ponzi scheme is different from lottery, which is recognized by the federal government. The respondents further advise people to imbibe the culture of hard work, as true success can be achieved through hard work.
People should work hard, people should make investments, people should find good handwork to do, and they should stop overnight to become a superman in terms of thinking that they can invest 10 kobo and get 1 million overnight. People don't get rich that way. So my advice is people should desist from such attitude.
Every individual enjoys innate aptitudes. It's a special gift from nature. You are not totally condemned until you find out who you are. Finding out who you are will guarantee you a place in success. It does not really mean that when you have no job, it means you cannot do anything. There is something out there for you to do. And then, when you begin to lay your hands on some of these things, I cannot think about going to some of these things that are not rewarding at all.
The Securities and Exchange Commission on the 15th of May this year raised alarm over the activities of Ponzi scheme. The Commission warned Nigerians to desist from patronizing them. Ruth Ohams, MCL News.
Lagos State Governor Godwin Obaseki has harped on the need for dialogue and tolerance in resolving religious, ethnic, communal, and political conflicts. He said that such approach will engender peace and sustainable development. The governor said this in commemoration of the International Day of Non-Violence, marked on October 2nd every year by the United Nations and its sister organs. Obaseki noted that dialogue and tolerance are necessary for resolving and preventing conflicts, urging governments at all levels to be fair to all citizens irrespective of religious, economic or political differences, so as to suppress feelings of marginalization which may lead to conflicts. To maintain peaceful coexistence and socio-economic development, governments must adopt strategies for inclusion and harmonious living in dealing with conflicts. Obaseki stressed that the non-violence approach remains a viable and potent conflict resolution model even today and should be explored by mediators and opinion holders instead of the rush to unconventional tactics that leave in their wake sorrow, regrets, deaths and deaths. United Nations General Assembly commenced commemoration of the International Day of Non-Violence by the resolution in 2007, promoting it as a platform to disseminate the message of non-violence, including through education and public awareness. The United Nations says the resolution reaffirms the universal relevance of the principle of non-violence and the desire to secure a culture of peace, tolerance, and understanding. Organized labor in Nigeria has given the federal government 1 week to conclude stalled negotiations on consequential adjustments of salaries of workers between grade 7 and 14. It rejected the presidential committee set up to further deliberate on the issue. The leadership of the Nigerian Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress rose from a meeting in Abuja, insisting that the Joint National Public Service Negotiating Council complete its assignment within 1 week. Both unions, in a statement, insist that 29% and not 11% increments as offered by the government to workers on grade 7 to 14 and the 6.5% for those between 15 and 17 will succeed. Organized labor says it may not guarantee industrial peace and harmony in the country if its demands are not met at the close of work on Wednesday, 16th October. Still to come on MCL News. About extrajudicial killings, government sets up inquiry committee security. Governor Plaza hands over compactor trucks for waste management. Details after the break. To stay with us.
Do not deface Abia State with posters. Do not defecate on our streets. Do not litter Abia State.
Brothers, I say wetin man go do for this world where people no go talk. If you chop,
Do not urinate in public places.
you no chop, dem go talk. Wetin make you do for this world? I say make we go do the things wey we carry for heart. Na so one want am. Abi no be so.
Keep Abia State clean. This message is brought to you by MCLtv.
Welcome back. At this point, we're connecting to our Omaha studios. We have Chuseke is standing by. Good morning, Chuseke.
home to Umaya and Chooks Eke. Governor Kizimbazo has handed over garbage compactor trucks to the Iowa State Waste Management Team in a bid to fix the sanitation problem of the state. The governor, while handing over the compactors, urged the waste managers to achieve a cleaner and safer area. He also revealed that plans are underway to unbundle the Iowa State Environmental Protection Agency. Now our powerful process law.
Governor Okezie-Ikpeazu revealed that the secondary means of refuse disposal in the state will soon be phased out as the compactors will take refuse directly from homes to the dump site. The governor said the Abia State Environmental Protection Agency will employ serious-minded and qualified individuals to man the activities of the agency. He warned that anybody whose frontage and drainage is bad will be held responsible and urged the residents of the state to be more conscious of their environment.
We are going to completely unbundle ASEPA and let people who are capable and have capacity to handle waste professionally get involved. So very soon we'll be calling for those who are interested to apply to ASEPA Aba and ASEPA Umuahia and show evidence of capacity and equipment. So if you have your own roller and you have your own compactor, please, this is the time for you to put it in good shape because we're going to create more jobs and get more people involved. Everywhere that waste managers have been protected, it has been a result of good synergy between the leader and the person that is taking away the waste. And I want to urge the public in Aba to please be careful about how to rearrange their waste and throw it around. We are making effort to make sure that we do this and it is everybody's interest. Henceforth, anybody whose frontage and drainage is bad will be held responsible. It doesn't matter whether the people that brought the garbage in front of their house are living there or not. It's their duty to make sure that we don't let anybody responsible.
A total of 17 of the trucks were rolled out to solve the sanitation problem of Abia. In another development, Governor Okezie-Ikpeazu has explained that the Abia Automated Shoe Factory will be ready soon, as all that is needed to make it a reality is already available. The governor stated this while showing off the automated shoe factory equipment to journalists at the Aba government lodge. He explained that the factory operations will be carried out in collaboration with the Chinese company under whose tutelage the first set of shoemakers was trained.
Set up the shoe factory and the building is almost ready. We are hopeful that by December we will roll out the first set of shoes. It's interesting to add that the factory in China is a major supplier to some shops in America and elsewhere, and they get so much order that the 34,000 they produce per day hardly satisfies their demand. And part of the collaborate with the factory in Aba, since they have trained and they know the capacity and competence of the workers that will work here, that they are going to ask the Aba shoe factory to help them produce additional shoes in their name, just in case they are not able to meet the demand of the market. So that means that job is waiting for this factory, and by the grace of God, before the end of this year, we will be finished.
The governor assured that the factory will produce the best of the shoes, not just in Nigeria, but Africa at large. Nora Okafor, MCL News.
Following reports of alleged extrajudicial activities by some suspected city agents around the Indio-Ogbere area of Aba, the Okezie-Ikpeazu has directed the immediate setting up for a panel of inquiry. The committee is to look into the remote and immediate causes of the reported incidents, as well as determine those involved with a view to bring them to justice. The panel is also to establish and evaluate property loss as a result of alleged extrajudicial action. The committee is to be led by Ubaya Agro-Ubai and the Reverend Eboso Ejimbu, who served as the secretary. Other members of the committee are Sokuchi Ernest Beke, His Royal Highness Eze Sunday Mejiaka, and Dr. MCLtv Okoli. The Bureau has 2 weeks to send out filings to the government, and this is without prejudice to the ongoing police investigations on the matter, which will primarily determine criminal culpability. This statement is signed by the Commissioner for Information, John Ochi Kalu, urged members of the public to go about their normal businesses without fear of further molestation, as the government is fully on top of the situation. As the governor, Kizit Bazo, says his administration is fully on top of the security situation in the state. The governor explained that the circumstances that led to the alleged destruction and torching of some houses around Igbo Street, Unga Road, Aba, by some police officers are being investigated at the highest level of the police command in the country. This matter was contained in a statement by his Chief Press Secretary, Onyebuchi Emenanka. Governor Bazo revealed that he is in touch with the Secretary of Police. Now the other State Commissioner of Police will be in Abuja to brief the police high command on the issue, assuring that his administration will not compromise the security of lives and property of the people under guise. It Bazo advised residents of Aba to allow government the latitude to conclude with security agents to allow the immediate and remote causes of the events. Governor Bazo further assured that the plot by some criminal elements to upset the native calm and peace in Aba has been uncovered by his administration working with security agencies. He made it clear that the security architecture of the state has been substantially beefed up, is formidable, and ready to secure the people. And that as well as one take from Omaha Studios, we'll take you straight back to our bar where Ismail Wafo is ready with the rest of the news bulletin. Thanks for watching. I'm Chuksiki.
Thank you so much, Chuks AK. Members of Aba GSM and Component Dealers Association conducted an election to usher into office a new executive. The event, which took place at the Inga Multipurpose Cooperative Society located at 3C Pound Road, Aba, brought together members of the association. MCLtv covered the election. The reports. The election commenced with accreditation of the electors. The Board of Trustees and members exercised their franchise on the choice of their leaders. The election began with an opening prayer where the members committed the affairs of the voting exercise to God. It was followed by resolution of the past executive paving way for presentation of manifestos by those seeking office. The election, which was free, fair and credible, was monitored by the election committee and members of the public. After the voting, the collection of results was done by the Board of Trustees, witnessed by Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Science and Technology, Dr. Johnson Ozatwegu.
Mr. Ferdinand Mukoji had 32 votes. Mr. Ikechukwu Oba had 79 votes. Now for the chairmanship. Mr. Okodo had 8 votes.
Mr. George Eze emerged chairman of Aba GSM and Component Dealers Association. He expressed his heartfelt appreciation.
I dedicate this victory to God Almighty. Equally, I wish to dedicate the victory equally once again to my amiable governor, Governor Victor Okinzie Ikpeazu. I'm equally here to assure you that from this moment onwards, there is going to be a more cordial relationship existing between the members of Abia GSM and the Abia State government.
I will make sure that there is peace and sanity in the line. I make sure that everything must move well so that the whole members will enjoy the dividends of democracy.
Some of the newly elected executives expressed delight over the results of the election.
The election is as transparent as you must have witnessed, and we are sure we have helped them to select their best candidate. In Abia State today, we have mandated them to remain very peaceful. himself as a winner. He has come to serve. This is service and not to rule. We don't want more rulers. We want those that are service oriented.
For those that have won the election, they should be upright in whatever they are doing for the association. They should make sure that everything goes according to our constitution.
Other state government was represented by the Deputy Chief of Staff, Ado Obai. And on the foreign scene, a new poll released on Wednesday by Politico and Morning Consult showed a 46% support rate for impeaching U.S. President Donald Trump and 43% opposition. The result is a new high for support to impeach Trump, with the Democratic Party pressing ahead with an impeachment inquiry. This is the first time for the poll to show that support for impeachment had surpassed opposition. The same poll area had the two sides even, while in the recent week 36% showed support, while 49% were against. Tyler Sinclair, Morning Consult's vice president, said support for impeachment proceedings remains high among voters, but Democrats could face limited support from Republicans through the process. Sinclair said while the results shows that appetite for impeachment among the public is increasing, opinion on whether Trump should be removed from office as a result of the impeachment remain divided. The U.S. House of Representatives announced earlier to launch impeachment investigations after a whistleblower's complaint alerted lawmakers about a telephone call between Trump and Ukraine's president. A description of the phone call released by the White House says that Trump said he would like the Ukrainian government to investigate a corruption allegation against Hunter Biden. Biden is the son of former U.S. Vice President and current Democratic Vice Presidential candidate Joe Biden. On sports, Nigeria and South Africa are placed in the same group when they draw for the 2020 Tokyo Olympic Games qualifying tournament was made Wednesday in Egyptian city, Alexandria. Nigeria and South Africa are in Group B for the November 8 to 22 championship with the Ivory Coast and Zambia, while Group A comprises hosts Egypt, Mali, Cameroon, and Ghana. Teams are restricted to under-23 footballers, and the finalists and the winners of the third place playoff will represent Africa in Japan, where teams can use 3 overage players. Nigeria have won gold 1996 and silver 2008 at Olympic football tournaments, Cameroon gold 2000 and Ghana bronze 1992. South Africa and Nigeria stood out during a 3-round qualifying competition for the tournament in Egypt, with all matches scheduled for Cairo. The South Africans twice scored 3 goals against Angola and bounced 5 past Zimbabwe in Soweto as they chased a second successive appearance at the Olympics. Although lacking Samuel Chukwueze and Victor Osimhen, who were on senior national team duty, Nigeria crushed Sudan 5-0 last month after losing the first leg by a solitary goal. The tournament doubles as the Africa Under-23 Cup of Nations, and the previous 2 editions were won by Gabon 2011 and Morocco and Nigeria 2015 in Senegal. That is the of our news package this morning. Before we go, a look at our major stories. The federal government will appeal the order of a UK commercial court awarding $200 million conditional payment for granting stay of execution in a judgment debt against Nigeria over a botched gas contract. The federal government is set to bring back toll gates on Nigerian roads years after they were pulled down. We also told you that organized labor in Nigeria has given the federal government 1 week to conclude stalled negotiations on consequential adjustments of salaries of workers between grade 7 and 14. And of course, Nigeria and South Africa are placed in the same group when the draw for the 2020 Tokyo Olympic Games qualifying tournament was made Wednesday in Egyptian city, Alexandria. That was the news. Thanks for watching. Please do join us again by 8 a.m. for Good Morning Abia. I am Ezine Wafo. Do have a nice day.